I'm also looking forward to talking to our next guest. She is on a roll. She's one of the rising stars in all of MMA, and we just saw her a little over a week ago in Dallas, Texas at UFC 228. She defeated Carla Esparza, a very one-sided fight. She won via TKO in the third round. She is undefeated. She's a former Ultimate Fighter winner. She is on the fast track to the 115-pound title. This is my first time talking to her, so I'm very excited about it. Let's say hello to Tatiana Suarez. Tatiana, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing great. It's great to have you on the show for the first time. You're so in demand. You're so popular. You're a rising star. It's impossible to book you. So it's good to have you on.
I don't know about that, but I mean, yeah, I'm happy to be on the show.
Yes, it's great to talk to you. So congratulations on all your success and for your performance at UFC 228. Where would you rank that one as far as the ones that you've had in the UFC thus far, the official ones, the 4 that you've had in the UFC, considering the opponent, considering her resume, considering she's a former champion, considering you finished her? Where would you put that one as far as the best of the 4?
I guess on paper, that would be the best, but I think my last one against Grasso was pretty great. So I don't know, it's up there, definitely top 2. Like in my mind, I like to get in and get out and take 0. And well, I didn't really take any damage in the fight, really. I mean, I got some like burns from the canvas and some cage like bruising on my forehead, but other than that, like I was fine. But I still like to leave a fight looking like I didn't fight. So, but yeah, I think that's in terms of on paper, it's the best. But I liked my fight before because I like submitting people.
As far as the Carla fight is concerned, were you expecting it to be that one-sided?
Yeah, I mean, that's in my mind. That's what I was thinking, and people, you never know, like you have to really put your thoughts into action and stuff like that. So that's what I thought going into there. And, but I think that going into every fight, I just like believe in myself, and my abilities and my training and my coaches and all the hard work that I put in over the years. So yeah, I definitely thought like that was something that would happen, but I had to actually do it, because sometimes, you never know what, in a fight, anything can happen, anything. So I was just, every fight, it's just like a big, weight lifted off my shoulders because I trained so hard and, throughout the camp and like, I just want to win so badly. So it's definitely like very, very rewarding at the end.
It feels, at least to me, and I'm wondering how you feel about it, that since that fight, there's a bit of a turning point that has begun as far as the way the fans are talking about you, thinking about you. They view you in that special, top of the division territory. Are you sensing that as well, just based on who they're sort of fantasy matchmaking you against, how they're giving you props, the amount of attention that you're getting? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I definitely do. And it's just kind of crazy because like there's a lot of fans that thought it from the beginning, but I think a lot of people just jumped on the bandwagon.
Yes. How dare those people?
Yeah, but it's pretty awesome. I'm like, it's nice to see, that they're finally appreciating, because, like, it's not that I go out there and I'm like, I'm going to prove all these people that say this and that wrong or this and that. I just kind of go out there and just perform. I've been performing since I was very, very young. So, I don't really think about those people, but now that, those people are actually like appreciating my fighting style, like I definitely want to like make the fans happy, so I'm happy to see that for sure.
And when you say you've been competing since you were very, very young, you're not just saying that. This is unbelievable. And props to my friend Chuck Mindenhall of MMA Fighting for writing a great feature before your fight about your journey. And so let us start at the beginning if we can. I have a daughter who's about to turn 2. You started wrestling at around 3.5, 4. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That blows my mind. Like, I can't imagine her in a year and a half wrestling against boys and dominating them and kicking their butt. How did you, obviously you probably don't remember, what interested you and what you were seeing on the mat. I know you had, brothers, but like from what you're told, like how did that of all things draw you in? a 3.5, 4-year-old girl seeing, young boys wrestling. Why were you captivated by that?
I don't really know my thought process at that point in time. I know, I was a very, very, very hyper child, like extremely hyper. And I know my brother did it. And, I really, I obviously he's my brother, so I loved him, and I kind of was like, oh, I want to do what my brother does, just like every other kid, that their older brother or sister or whatever does something a lot. You tend to want to do those things too. And I wanted to do it. And, at the time, my mom told me that I couldn't because I was a girl. And then at the time, there was a girl wrestling, and I still know her to this day. I was like, well, she's wrestling. And she's like, okay, well, next time, you can do it. And then I started practicing, and I ended up winning my first tournament. And she was like, oh, wow, she's pretty good. I guess I'll just let her do it. It helps with her energy levels, because I was so hyper. But, so that's kind of how it started. And it just kind of went from there. And even when I was really young, I took it very, very seriously, which is just crazy to me that I took it that seriously. I hated losing even from a very young age, and I wanted to win so badly, even at a very, very young age. Like, I took it seriously, like as an adult would take it. And
Yeah.
I was very young. Like my mom told me, you really were passionate about it at even a young age, which is just, in my eyes, I see young kids and I'm like, there's no way a kid can be passionate about something at that young because they just want to play all the time. But I guess I was. So.
Was your brother the same way?
My brother did it because he really, I guess more because my mom made him do it. I did it because I really wanted to do it, I did it for the opposite reason. My mom didn't really want me to do it, and I did it because I wanted to do it. So yeah, he was different. He didn't really like it, but now he's so in love with the sport. My older brother is. I have younger brothers and sisters too that wrestle, and we've all gone to college for wrestling. And my sister is now in college in Georgia, and then my little brother is at Fresno State now too. And then my older brother coaches wrestling. So
wow.
Pretty crazy.
But you're the one who essentially stuck with it the longest, right?
Yeah.
In terms of competing.
Well, I had to stop pretty young. I think my little brother will end up, probably wrestling longer than me. I couldn't wrestle anymore because my neck injury and stuff. So I stopped wrestling at I think 21 or 20.
Right.
I think it was 20 years old. So I had to stop pretty soon, but I still would wrestle and stuff like that, but I just couldn't compete anymore. It was just too taxing on my neck, and it wasn't very healthy for my neck. So I had to stop, which was crazy because I was at I was third in the world when I stopped, and I ended up a couple tournaments. I ended up, I don't know, you probably know, you're from Canada, right?
Yeah.
Tanya Verbeek. I don't know if you know wrestling, but she's
I've heard of her, yep.
I beat her.
Dang.
I beat her the year before the Olympics, and she's a two-time, medalist at the Olympics, and
yep.
I was currently ranked third in the world, so I thought, this is finally coming. My dreams are finally coming true. And then I had a neck injury, and then I had the cancer, so everything just kind of didn't really play into my favor in terms of timing and all that other stuff. But you know what? Now I'm in the UFC, and I get to live another dream, another passion. Some people, they only get one passion in their life. I've been blessed to actually live another passion of mine, so it's pretty awesome.
And what was it like growing up when you're so focused on wrestling and typically for, young girls, that's not what they're doing? Did you find it hard to have friends? I know you missed out on homecoming, prom, all these kinds of things. Did you feel like you were alienated from the other girls, the other boys in your school?
Oh, definitely. Oh my gosh. I was everybody knew who I was, obviously because I wrestled, I was good. I was traveling all over the world, even at a young age. When I started with traveling maybe around 17 to, world tournaments and stuff like that, 16. So they knew who I was, but I kind of, I was focused on something different, and it definitely wasn't making friends. So, yeah, I definitely was a little awkward, and I still am pretty awkward. I'm really goofy. Um, but I think everybody's kind of awkward and goofy sometimes, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah. No, don't I know it? Don't I know it? You were on the fast track to the 2012 Olympics, and you sort of glossed over it there. The neck injury, the cancer. I mean, these are very, very serious and important moments in your life. Do you remember the first time that you felt an issue with your neck, and where were you when this happened?
Yeah, it was during the actually it was when I was in Canada. I ended up going to the went to the Canada Cup every year. Went to the Canada Cup. I felt it then. And then, maybe a month later I had to go and we went to France, and then we did the French, like there's a French Open there. And then after that we did the World Cup, which was in France that year. And I felt it even more so then, but I still ended up winning the tournament. I still ended up beating everybody at the World Cup. I was the only person who went through the whole World Cup without losing, because it's a team thing,
Mm-hmm.
So, so we had I think we wrestled 4 times against 4 different countries. But yeah, so I ended up feeling those things then, and I knew something was off and weird. And then I got home, and we were gonna have another tournament somewhere else. I think it was in Sweden. And then they told me, well, you know what, get your neck checked out. Or I thought it was my arm, like my shoulder, because my fingers were starting to go numb and my arm was going numb, but it was coming from, my neck. So then they did an MRI on my neck, and then that's how they kind of diagnosed the actual cancer, because they saw a lymph node on my thyroid, and I had to get it tested, and it ended up being cancer. So it went from something so little that I had no idea about, It
Wow.
actually saved my life, because I probably wouldn't have gone to the doctor if it wasn't for my, my coach, and wasn't for my neck injury. So it was definitely one of those things where it's like a blessing in disguise, even though you don't see it that way at the time. Because, I was more upset about not being able to wrestle than I was about the cancer. And this just sounds so crazy to me at this point in my life, because I'm doing something else. But at the time I was more devastated that I couldn't wrestle anymore than I was that I had cancer. It just kind of warped, your when you put so much into a sport for so long, it just kind of almost becomes your identity.
Right.
And that's kind of where I struggled, and I think that happens to a lot of people, a lot of professional athletes, where they do something for so long, it kind of becomes who they are. And then a lot of times things don't go their way, and they're like, man, what else do I do? This is my passion. This is what I love to do. And I've heard this from many people. Actually, this is kind of strange. I'm kind of going off topic here. I don't know how much time you have. I'm sorry.
No problem.
But there was this guy that actually saw, watched, I'm kind of weird. I watched this show called Love Connection all the time.
Okay.
And basically, I don't know if you've seen it, but basically, they're just trying to find, someone they like to date or be with or whatever.
Yeah.
So this guy, he was actually an ex NFL player, and he was single, and he wanted to date somebody, but that pretty much happened to him. He was an NFL player. He was playing for, I think, the Packers at the time, and he ended up getting hurt, and he couldn't play anymore, and it kind of put him out, and I think it was also a neck or back injury, and I thought it was crazy. This guy had the same thing happened to him, and I think it's and he was at, obviously the biggest competition that he could be at the time. But I just thought, wow, other people share this, kind of feelings also. Yeah, it was pretty weird that I saw it on Love Connection.
Love Connection's a great show. You can learn a lot from Love Connection. But
I mostly go on there to laugh. But
that's fine. But at 21, to be in the shape that you were in, on the cusp of making the Olympic team, and then you get diagnosed with cancer, and thank God you beat it, and you're healthy and you're thriving. But I can't imagine what that was like mentally. I know that you say that you were more devastated about having to stop your wrestling career, but was there ever a point where you were afraid for your life?
Those thoughts definitely creep into your mind, but that's what's so amazing, about the sport that I'm in, and then the sport that I was, raised in, is I've always been taught to, overcome certain obstacles. I mean, it's never this, I've always especially my mom. My mom, wow. We didn't grow up, like, I didn't really get along with, we didn't get along that well. I mean, girls usually don't get along that well. but, we didn't get along that well growing up when I was growing up. We do now, but then it was hard for me. But she's amazing, and she taught me, to overcome any obstacle that comes my way, and to be like very, very positive, and to believe in yourself and your abilities. So yeah, those thoughts like definitely crept into my mind, but I definitely kept people around me that were positive, and I kept a positive mindset. And I was actually talking to somebody about this recently, because they asked me, I guess they're going through the same thing as I was going through, and they just asked me for advice, and I told them just to be positive and to keep that positive mindset, because I feel like if you're having, healthy and positive thoughts, like, it'll also help you heal, and it'll also give you like the strength to get through the difficulties of the disease. So, yeah, I felt that way, but I definitely was positive. And most importantly, like, I kind of didn't tell anybody, because a lot of times when you tell people certain things like this, they kind of like, sometimes, it depends on the person, but they kind of give you, I don't know, they kind of feel sorry for you. So there's like, you kind of feel like pity, more than anything.
Right.
And you're like, I don't really want that. I want to feel like this isn't something I should be pitied about. This is something like I need to just like attack, and just like really just stay like in good spirits, not to let the sadness or whatever of it kind of overcome me. So that's really what I did. I just kind of was like, this is something that I'm going to overcome, and this is just going to be another part of my story, I guess,
And
but it's amazing.
No remnants. You're 100%. You're all good. You beat it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I get tested all the time, because it was so close to like my lungs, and I also had lymph nodes that were, affected, and my thyroid was affected and stuff like that, obviously. But yeah, I don't have anything, but it's definitely weird, because it's one of those diseases where like you still feel it, even though you take medication. You still feel like fatigue, and like it definitely changes you, because it's not your actual thyroid that's working for you anymore. It's a pill, So.
Wow. And do you, okay, so you beat that. You can't go back into wrestling, right? At what point are you exposed to MMA and you start to think that this will be your new calling? This is the new thing that you're going to conquer.
Somebody invited me to the gym and said, hey, do you know anybody that would be interested in coming to this gym and just competing, fighting or whatever? I was like, yeah, me. And then they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to try it out, because I figured I already have my wrestling down. I don't really need to learn that part of it,
Right.
So, but I just needed to learn how to grapple and strike. And, the problem with wrestling was I was always like shooting and stuff like that, and doing 1 million shots a day. And now I do like very little wrestling, because my neck is really bad. So even for my fights, I mostly stand up for my fights. I mean, I mostly stand up when I spar. Like, I don't really shoot. I don't really wrestle that often. So, I don't really get into like troubling positions for my neck. But in the fight, that's all I do is wrestle. So it's kind of weird, but I started doing MMA. Like, at first I was thinking I was just going to do jiu-jitsu. And then they're like, wow, you're really good at wrestling. You're really good at jiu-jitsu now, or you're getting better. I wasn't really good then. I'm still not really good. I'm like good, but, and then, you're going to, if you just learn how to stand up, you'll be a great fighter. And I was like, okay. So then I kind of did it, and like fell in love. And then I was in there all the time for hours and hours and hours. And they were like, she's going to be, a star. She's going to be a star. And
you are.
Kind of, yeah, I guess.
You're on your way.
Yeah, I'm on my way. Yeah, but that's it wasn't my focus. Like, none of that. Like, no one that goes into like MMA. Well, maybe some people, but not me. I was like, oh, I just love to do this. I love to, I love to compete. It's more about that than anything that and having the freedom. I get paid, so having the freedom to, really just focus on being a better martial artist and like enjoying, the kind of life I'm living while I can, because just you never know. Just like, with wrestling, like you never know what's going to happen. You never know. Anything can happen. So you just kind of have to enjoy it while you still can. And that's like a lot of times, like after, every time after a fight, they're always like, okay, who's next?
Yes.
Like what? And I'm like, sometimes, like after victory, I'm kind of like, yeah, like this is probably going to be next. And then I like calm down for a little bit and I'm like, you know what? I just kind of want to enjoy it and just kind of relax for a second. And then I obviously still train, but I just kind of want my mind to rest more than anything. So I feel like, geez, like I put so much effort these last 10 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever that usually it is into, winning this one fight. And then they want me to jump back in there and not jump back in there, but mentally jump back in there and be like, who are you fighting next? And la, la, la. And I'm like, let me just like enjoy this for a second in my mind. And then, and enjoy my life. And then, and then mentally prepare for another fight,
But it's been 9 days now, so surely you have someone on your mind, right?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. Like, I feel like, huh?
No, I was saying, I thought we were on to something. That's all. I just said, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were talking to somebody else.
No. Who would I be talking to?
I don't know.
What do we got?
Know
who's the name?
Office with you. Let me see. Okay. Oh yeah. I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on. What happened?
No. I was reacting. Okay, go ahead.
I can't hear you because I'm talking to you. Oh shoot. I don't really know who I'm gonna fight because everything's so weird right now. Like I heard Rose isn't gonna fight anytime soon. I heard Joanna's gonna be. I did a different weight class or something, and I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm not even gonna try to like even fathom what's gonna happen next because there is just so many factors into what's going on at this point at our weight class. So I'm not even gonna like hurt myself trying to think about it.
When do you want to return? How about that?
I don't know. Whenever they, I don't really care. I'm ready always. So like if they're like, oh, this time December or whatever, that's fine with me. But if not, like it's not like I'm like in a rush to get to wherever they want, what the belt or whatever. Like at this point of in my career, I'm like, I know where I'm at. I know where I stand, and I just need to become like all I really need to focus on is becoming better, and so then when my time comes to get the belt, like I'm prepared fully. Although I think that I am now, but still you always have room to improve. And when I go to fight for the belt, I definitely want it to be like a dominant performance as well. And then I just kind of want to shock the world, I don't want them to be like, oh, she won by the skin of her teeth. I just, although that could possibly happen, but man, like I want to put on the performance. I want to do what I did to all these other girls, to everybody in the top 5, not just, the girls behind that I've already fought. I want to dominate everybody. So right now my mind's focused on like becoming better and better. And although I'll never reach perfection, that's never going to happen, but at least I can strive for it.
Well, I wish you continued success, Tatiana. It's been a lot of fun to speak to you for the first time. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Congrats on all your success up until this point, not just in MMA, but in wrestling, beating cancer. I mean, you are a real inspiration. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep going. Keep thriving. Keep getting better. It's been a lot of fun watching you compete in the UFC the last couple of years. I wish you nothing but the best, and good luck in your next fight against whomever it may be. We shall stay tuned. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. No, I appreciate it very much.
All right. There she is, Tatiana Suarez, stopping by, one of the top contenders at 115 pounds. If you follow the UFC rankings, you notice that she jumped up 5 slots. 5. She's now ranked number 4, only behind Claudia Gadelha, who actually picked her on her tough team. Jessica Andrade, coming off the big win over Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who told us earlier today that if she does in fact move up to 125, she wants to stay at number 1. And then there's Rose Namajunas. My guess is it's going to be Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade next. Joanna is going to fight at 125. Again, my guess. Claudia has a fight against Nina Ansaroff. And then there's Tatiana. And then below her, there's Karolina Kowalkiewicz. There's Tisha Torres, both coming off losses. Perhaps the winner of Michelle Watterson versus Felice Herrig, which takes place in less than a month at UFC 229. Perhaps that's the one that makes the most amount of sense for Tatiana Suarez. But what an interesting person. What an amazing backstory. I feel like I could talk to her for an hour about everything she's just overcome, being a woman, being a young girl, competing in wrestling, overcoming cancer at such a young age, making it oh so close to the Olympics, her dream, and now shifting gears and dominating in the world of mixed martial arts. 7-0. It's going to be fun to see her rise up the ranks.